Good morning, fellow ruminators. Welcome back to another session, Rumination with Andrew. Thank you for joining one more time as we are about to discuss a very important topical matter. Now, this morning, we are going to look at the whole concept of Jamaica no problem MON. As people like to say, as we have sold ourselves and this tourist gimmick that we like to that we like to diffuse to the world, that we have diffused to the world through our tourism industry. And how this psychological, what should I say now, understanding of ourselves has wreaked havoc on our development or lack thereof. I think that we need to be concerned more about the way in which we have portrayed ourselves to the world and some of these tourist gimmicks that we have also internalized and made them into realities, even though they are essentially lies. Lies that we tell ourselves that we are who we are not. And the fact of the matter is that oftentimes people will cite Bob Marley's song as everything is going to be all right. No woman, no cry, everything is going to be all right. But if we do not put in the work, then everything is not going to be all right. If we do not confront ourselves with the truth, if we do not come to grips, I should say, with the truth, then everything is not going to be all right. In fact, things are going to be catastrophic. And that is what we're seeing in Jamaica today, that things are going haywire because of corruption and because of the fact that we have not built a stable economy, and that the economy that we are attempting to build under the Andrew Holness's regime with Dr. Nigel Clark is an economy that is built on sand, an economy that is going to wash ashore very shortly because it is not firmly planted in the soil of development, of economic development that is. It is time for us now to reflect and to understand that we need to be a part of that rat race. You know, it's interesting how Bob Marley, so your so-called national hero, or want to be national hero, he, even though he critiqued the rat race, this constant working and, trying to make ends meet, but he was a part of that rat race. And that's the irony of this all, right? That even though Bob Marley spoke scathingly about the rat race and the capitalist economic system, he himself was a part of that system and made lots of money from that system. And that is what we need to understand. We ought not to sit down and allow people to indoctrinate us into believing that everything is going to be all right and that we don't have to get up and be productive citizens because everything is going to be all right. How is everything going to be all right if we know that we are not working, that we are not productive enough? In Jamaica's situation, we do not have a manufacturing economy. Our economy is built on tourism, particularly, and the proceeds that come from our diaspora. Now, if we are depending on those two industries, and the tourism industry is not local, it's not a local industry, right? It's more of a foreign industry. So we're not reaping the profits that could be used to develop the nation as we should, because most of the profits are expatriated. So we have to come to grips with some of these realities and understand that our economic development and growth cannot be built on tourism, cannot be built on remittances coming from the diaspora. Fact, or those forms of industries, whatever you want to call them, are not going to grow Jamaica's economy. And if we record growth, it is artificial growth, growth that is not rooted in truth. And everything is not going to be all right, because everything in Jamaica is not all right. In fact, it is becoming a failed state. So I don't understand how we think that everything is going to be all right. I saw Carolyn Cooper writing in the Jamaica Gleaner paper yesterday, the Jamaica online Gleaner. And she was asking the question, what about the peace and love and unity that Bob Marley advocated for? But I would like to ask her, does she think that peace and love can come from a song? Just everything is going to be all right and peace and love and harmony? If that could create peace and love and harmony, I'm sure that we would long have had it on this earth, because how many songs have we sung about peace, love, and harmony? Right, but these songs are not songs, even if you sing them and they're not meant intentionally, if the heart is not changed, and our heart cannot change by listening to a song, right? We can be entertained by it, and we might appreciate that it's a very good piece of music. But peace and love and harmony, and Dr. Carolyn Cooper should know better than that, that is not going to happen. It's not going to happen, and that's another lie that we also have embraced, that peace and love and harmony is going to come by us just dancing, having fun, and chattering. And oftentimes chattering and chatting nonsense. Because that is not true. How could she think that Bob Marley's singing, and it's not only Carolyn Cooper, by the way, a lot of Jamaicans and people around the world think that Bob Marley is a hero because he sang about peace and love and truth. And he also sang about militant protest also. But the powers that be do not want him to be portrayed as any militant soldier of peace and love and harmony. But until we begin to embrace truth and to ensure that we accept it, there will be no peace and love and harmony. And righteousness is going to bring us peace and truth and love and harmony. Because a lot of the people, if the truth be told, who are preaching truth and love and harmony, do not believe in peace and truth and love and harmony. They don't believe it. As I've just intimated, Bob Marley, one of the persons who spoke scathingly, who critiqued the rat race in this capitalistic society and this capitalistic Western world, but he was a part of that capitalistic society and perhaps was or could be deemed a workaholic. Bob Marley was a workaholic, and he applied his trade, and he understood what business and being thrifty were all about, right? He was not about sitting down and smoking some marijuana. Marijuana he used, and he used a lot of it. But give him his credit, he was able to get up, you know, and he strove for excellence within his own career. Why can't Jamaicans emulate those sort of characteristics of Bob Marley? But what they want to embrace is this nonsense about sitting down, smoking marijuana, and singing everything is going to be all right. And one love, let's get together and feel all right. And if Bob Marley had done that, his children and grandchildren would not be doing well economically in this world. But even though he was irresponsible in not preparing a will, but they were able to come and they were able to defend the rights of their father. Had he not left that economic legacy for them, perhaps we don't know where they would have been right now. But he set that standard for them, which is excellent. But the national hero status that we're looking at more for Bob Marley is the fact that he critiqued the system and he fought for love and peace and unity. But at the same time, he submitted himself to this capitalistic society. And for that reason, they embraced him and they were able to use him to commercialize him into making Rastafarianism mainstreamed. So we need to get out of this sort of Jamaica no problem, because a lot of problems we have. And if we continue to brush them aside, to put them under the rug, then we are not going to grow and we are not going to become a civilized society. We are not going to become a law-abiding society. We are not going to have the peace and the love and the harmony for which Bob was a great advocate. We need to look carefully. We need to assess our problems. We need to confront them manfully and boldly, acknowledging, affirming that, yes, these are the problems that confront modern Jamaica. It is interesting because I had a person who commented on one of my videos and his reaction was that Jamaica, nothing is wrong with Jamaica. He was referring to the fact that the United States has also issued a travel advisory about, its citizens going to Jamaica, and they ought to be careful in traveling to Jamaica. And his assessment, his understanding is that there is no problem with Jamaica. The United States does not want Jamaica or Jamaicans in the US. And some of that might be true, but some of that is also justified, because we have not grown our economy. And because of that, we have not been able to educate the majority of our people. And nobody wants in their country a largely illiterate or semi-literate citizens of other countries, poor, illiterate, semi-literate foreigners. Nobody wants those people in their country. And you cannot blame them for that. And yes, the US has contributed a lot to our lack of development. But how long are we going to sit and say that? It's almost like a parent or two parents, and they, through ignorance, did not grow you the way that you should have been grown. They did not, inculcate that discipline in you that you should have been inculcated with. However, you can't spend the entire adult life, your entire adult life, moaning and groaning over what your parents did or did not do. At a certain age, you have to come to grips with that reality. You will have to say, my parents were ignorant and they should have done X, or they should have done Y, or they should have done Z, but they did not do that. And hence, I have to take that responsibility and move on with my life. I have to see some of my flaws and try to correct them as best as possible. But we cannot, for the life of me, sit and mope and groan that the US and the imperialism, yes, those are factors that we must be aware of and that we have to keep in mind, and we should understand tactics that we could use to mitigate some of these imperial undertakings and these imperialistic exploitations. However, we can't sit and mope that, we have to sit and be frozen and do nothing. We have to find creative strategies to move our economy along. And the IMF and these neoliberal policies are not going to move us along. The economy for too long has been built on sand, and it is about to be washed away completely. Can we move away from this Jamaica no problem MON and begin to say, yes, Jamaica, many problems MON? Because that is what it is all about. That Jamaica, yes, many problems MON. Many problems there are. And it is time for us now to address these problems, to confront them, and to find effective solutions, and not some piecemeal solutions, but effective solutions, permanent solutions, so that we can move our country along. We are not going to be respected among the nations of the world if we continue to function in the capacity that we are functioning in right now. We are not going to be respected. And you can sit and wait on reparations to come for you, because you and I know that that is not coming. And even if they say tomorrow it's coming, you know it's not going to get to the poor man. It is not going to happen. That is not going to happen. If tomorrow you wake up and you hear that Black people are getting $6 billion, or let us say, $1 trillion in reparation, or more, if you will, it is not going to help us. Because in the first place, you're not going to get the money. It's going to always be the system in which it goes right back into the hands of the so-called manufacturers. They know how it works. The same thing, the IMF. A lot of this money that they say that they send you, it doesn't go there. These are just fictitious money that they're apparently sending to you. And everything ends back in the US Treasury. And that is the deception. So when you're talking about surplus of what? Because it's an ideology. It is not real. It is an ideology. The IMF economic policies are or represent an ideology or a set of ideologies. And when are we going to wake up to see that? Well, all of what we're talking about in terms of Western civilizations and the fact that we seem to be brushing aside and saying that these Western people and their norms and their mores and all of that are not important anymore, because we're Black people and we are empowered by Africa, this Mama Africa, and we're returning to Africa for redemption. That also is nonsense. And you have not gone back to Africa, and you're not going back. The large majority of people in the Black diaspora will never see Africa. I can guarantee you that. Never in your lifetime see Africa. So why mope and groan? We need to get our acts together right now and understand that this is where we are. The large majority of Jews around the world are not in Israel. You have some who went back from Western Europe, yes, but the large majority of them around the world will never go back to Israel. In fact, Israel will not be able, if all the Jews, if all Jewish descendants were to go back to Israel, Israel could not, as a nation that is, could not be able to accommodate all of them. Because whatever is happening, God said it that it would take place, and it is happening, and no man can undo what God says will happen. No man, no matter how powerful he or she is, can undo what God reveals in his word that will happen or have happened. Cannot change it, cannot undo it. No matter how hard you try, it is impossible to do it, right? The same thing with the African diaspora. You will not go back to Africa. Some of you will be able to go and visit, just like the Jews are able to go and visit Israel, but you will not be able to go back, all of us, and it's impossible for all of us in the African diaspora to go back to Africa. So all of that nonsense that, you know, of Rastafarianism and that Africa is our redemption. Africa is not going to redeem us. What is going to redeem us here is that we pool our hands and our hearts together to see how we can lift ourselves out of poverty. Because we have been westernized, whether or not we like it, we have been westernized. And lots of you are rejecting what you want to reject selectively, but you love the money. You love the freedoms that are accessible in Western societies. You love it, you embrace it, right? But you talk against the system, even though the system, for some parts, have made some of us into wealthy people, just like the Bob Marleys, right? So our objective today is to first just acknowledge that we have many problems in Jamaica. Jamaica, yes, many problems, MON. Thank you so much for joining. I hope to see you in another video. And please be reminded to like and to share and to subscribe so that our audience can grow, our viewing audience, that is, can grow. The more you like the video, the more the video will be shared with others on the platform. Thank you so much. All the best. Bye-bye.